Hey guys, welcome back to a new video. I'm Stephanie Fisher. I'm a licensed counselor here in the state of Michigan, and I am owner and operator of In Progress Counseling. A conversation, I know we've talked about it here on YouTube. I know that I've talked about it on the podcast, which is Healing Through Pain. But one of the things that is often really important for skill building and for some emerging self-agency in our lives, so to be competent and capable in the current dynamics that we're in, one of the things that's so important is being clear about the dynamics that we are in. And a lot of times at the onset of our collaboration, there's a lot of resistance, there's a lot of frustration. There can be like, well, so-and-so should do it differently, or this person shouldn't behave that way, or that person should change, and if they just did that, everything would be better. And I often have to remind whichever human is in the room with me, hey, you're the human that's in the room with me. And this is stressful for you. This is frustrating for you. This is something that you want to see change, but we don't get to change people who are not in the room. I don't even get to change you, and you are in the room. But if something needs to change in this situation, the best shot might be you're the one to bring in some sort of change dynamic. Now, it could look a whole host of ways. Maybe there's different communication skills we're going to build together. Maybe there's different boundaries that we're going to try. Perhaps there are different ways of inviting in needs, preferences, limits, desires, expectations. There's a lot of things we can work on. There's a lot of strategies that we can enhance because we're in the room here working together. But if successful therapy is contingent on someone out there doing something different so I can be okay, I can't help in that endeavor. And I have to be very candid with the person in the room. I think you're going to have limited effectiveness in that endeavor. Changing other people is not a thing we typically get to do. Now, we might achieve some short-term success by, threats, by some type of some type of manipulation, by some type of benefit. So we can use the carrot, we can use the stick. But other people's change typically will fall quite outside of the purview of what we're capable of doing. And often I will even work with clients, it might even fall outside of the purview of some of the things for which we are responsible. Now, that's different based on the relationship we're trying to navigate, but forcing someone else's change is not work that we actually get to do. And I see a lot of people come in here and they're like, but if they would just, and I grieve with them. I say, I know. Whatever they're choosing, it's making things harder. Whatever limits they have, it's making things more complex for you. But we might also have to develop, what do I do because this is what's going on? What do I do when this is the behavior I keep getting confronted with? What is my limit, or what are my responsibilities based on the thing that is happening? And so it's not the best analogy necessarily, but let's say I have someone come in and they're upset that they live on the 13th floor of a building. And they say, Steph, I don't want to live on the 13th floor of a building. Okay, well, let's look into that. Is there a way to change that? And let's say they're like, no, but I just don't want that to be true. I don't want to have to haul my groceries up for 13 flights. I don't want to have to take the stairs every time the fire alarm goes off. I don't want to have to deal with elevator maintenance. I don't want to. Well, are you going to move? Because if you're not going to move, we might need to work on equipping you for a 13th floor experience, because right now you're having a 13th floor experience. I think it's important to equip us if that's what's happening in our story. Now, if you're going to change it, meaning you're going to relocate, that's an option. But if you're staying where you're staying, lamenting that it's true does not change anything. Now, grief work is a big part of what we do. But if someone comes in time after time and they say, I'm done living on the 13th floor. I don't want to live on the 13th floor. I don't like the 13th floor. That's all okay. But nothing changes unless we're equipping you for dealing with the realities that you live on the 13th floor. And this goes into a ton of relational dynamics by way of an analogy. If you're up close to someone who's obnoxious, someone who is harmful, someone who is selfish, we can build in strategies to buffer that and give some type of, some type of conditioning to deal with that dynamic in the reality of that dynamic. Now, a lot of people are frustrated with that type of insight, that type of, hey, what are you willing to do differently? And that can be so frustrating because it's like, yeah, but if they changed, maybe, but they're not in the room. And so it's really, really difficult to create a plan of action around what someone else should be doing because they're not here, but you are. What can we do to equip you with the reality that you're in? It's one of the key pieces really of anxiety management, because if it's all about that person needs to change for me to be okay, we're going to stay in a perpetual spin cycle of helplessness and frustration because that person changing falls outside of the scope of what I can actually achieve. But in this room together here, we can create pathways, processes, buffers, resources, new skill sets to navigate the complexities of what is happening. It's the invitation for you today. It's the invitation for clients. It's like, you're in the room with me. What can we do together?